Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Zach here, take two, Whole Body Experience episode 2. As I promised yesterday, we're going to be diving into the 7 biggest reasons that I see people not losing body fat. The number one reason is going to be very shocking. It's not actually something that you think about. It has nothing to do with your nutrition or training. Well, it does, but the source of the problem is actually coming from a completely different dimension. So we're going to obviously tease that out, stick around for that one. But let's jump into this. So the 7th reason that people do not lose body fat effectively is we do not establish a proper baseline. Now, this sounds kind of stupid if you've not well versed in this. Most people will take their weight and then they'll be weighing themselves consistently, and that's going to be how they gauge whether or not they're succeeding. The problem with that is that when we start training, our hydration levels are going to shift. Most people are going to retain more fluid. A lot of people are starting off dehydrated. That's another topic. The other problem is that sometimes the quote gets butchered and they'll say a pound of muscle weighs more than a pound. Well, a pound is a pound, but muscle is much denser than fat. So as I gain lean mass, as I regain my muscle, as I regain my hydration, my body weight might actually be going up. I've had some awesome transformations, including one I'm going to be posting where she was actually, I believe, 6 pounds heavier after a month, but we knew she was on the right track. Why? Because we did establish a proper baseline. We took measurements. We measured across the shoulders, chest, navel, waist, arm, leg. This gave us the means of looking at what the whole picture, or at least a better picture. Body fat percentage testing is awesome, obviously. If you want to spend the money and go get your body fat tested, I can tell you where to go in Reno or otherwhere. There's good deals out there right now. But having these metrics in place are going to be far more illuminating than just weight. The weight can increase. There's a lot of different explanations for that. Some people talk about this theory called the whoosh theory, in which fat cells will actually be retaining water as fat is being burned, since the body has invested time and energy to create the cell. So there's reasons the body weight will creep up initially for the majority of people. If I have the measurements, I know the real story, and I'm going to maintain my discipline. I'm going to hit my nutrition. I'm going to keep hitting my training. It's very important to have those measurements. The 6th biggest mistake people are making is they don't perceive when exactly the body is adapting. Everybody wants to go in, they want to start tracking calories burnt, and they want to push that number higher and higher, thinking it's going to create the change. That is not the reality, though. The reality, though, is that my body is adapting when I am recovering. This is why sleep is absolutely imperative. And when was the last time that somebody that you went to get coaching from was highlighting the importance of sleep as much as the training and the nutrition? All 3 are non-negotiable if you want the biggest transformation possible. If you want to restore your health, your strength, your power, your vitality as fast as possible, you absolutely have to be recharging the body every single day. Recovery also encompasses nutrition. During these recovery windows is when I'm going to be giving my body the stimulus and then the ingredients it needs to build muscle, to when I can have my body start burning off my stored fuel, that's all the body fat is. It's just stored fuel. So recovery windows are very, very important. And there's ways of setting those up properly. And there's ways of compromising those. Alcohol, stimulants, lack of sleep. These things are all cutting into recovery, and they're going to be changing my hormones in an unfavorable way. It's going to allow me to not transform as fast, efficiently, and safely as possible. The recovery problem comes into reason number 5, people aren't succeeding. And I already briefly mentioned it, but we're looking at workouts as only calories out. We're just trying to burn a bunch of energy thinking it's going to burn more body fat. This leads into beatdown style workouts where people are, really pushing their body far too hard and injuring themselves. There's a notorious transformation place in my area. I'm not going to call them out. I've called them out in sessions. I don't like to talk bad about anyone else. But when people are notoriously hurting people, then something has to change with that. I think most people's definition of transformation is not to go in and beat the crap out of your body for a couple weeks and then have to go get a surgery. That's a piss poor transformation. So I have to work with my body. And this reason, number 5, is actually it's actually tied to number 1, which we're getting to. Stop beating down your body every single session. You have to build the body up. Focus on building up strength and power for long-term permanent success. A component of number 5, which is reason number 4, is going to be cardio-based training. Now, this goes back to the mindset of trying to burn a bunch of energy and tracking everything. And yes, there are a lot of cardio activities that might be burning energy while I'm doing them. But post-workout, if I am reliant solely on longer and longer durations of cardio-based training, which will be like running, biking, rowing, these are actually going to be sacrificing my lean mass. So what ends up happening is I'm losing lean mass, I'm losing my ability to burn energy on a daily basis, and my metabolism is actually slowly creeping down. Most people, since they're in the mindset of beat down and calorie restriction, they're going to restrict more. They're going to drop the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, even further. And it's just going to create this cycle where you're just beating the body down. You're not recovering. You're not fueling it properly. And you're losing lean mass the entire time. Okay, so going now, that's obviously bringing up calories. So let's talk about calories for a minute. Calories in, calories out. It's a famous line. Everybody loves to quote it. I see it pop up probably daily if you go in, if you belong to any sort of like body transformation groups, like mom groups or dad groups, or, you know, there's some great groups out there, but inevitably somebody will answer calories in, calories out. This is 100% true. Now, there's, you know, laws of there are laws of thermodynamics that my body is not exempt from, but stop focusing on the calories in, focus on the calories out. If I eat enough to maintain my caloric needs, I can create enough of a deficit through my training alone. This is very, very important to understand, because when people are focused only on limiting calories in, they are sacrificing their long-term progress. Again, I'm losing lean mass. I'm not building strength. I'm not building power. My metabolism is absolutely going to suck. People that get into extreme forms of endurance-based training, like triathlons, running half marathons, they suffer from this the most. They're losing lean mass. And at the same time, what's going to happen is the body knows it's going to have to expend increasingly huge amounts of energy during training sessions. So it's going to start dropping the metabolism immediately after your training within about 30 minutes, maybe 60 at the most. You can see this in their body temperatures. The body temperature, if you track it, for endurance-based athletes is actually quite low. It's not uncommon for highly accomplished endurance athletes to have a resting body temperature of about 96 degrees. So stop beating yourself down with these long cardio bouts. It's absolutely counterproductive for most people for the physique they want. If you look at the physique people want, they're power and strength based. Check out gymnasts if you don't believe me. Gymnasts are not, running 5Ks. They're not running 10Ks. They're the leanest, baddest ass, strongest people on the planet. And they're absolutely doing it from resistance training, almost solely through their own body weight. Now, there's progressions. There's a lot of patience involved, so I'm not saying everyone should run out and be a gymnast. But the point is that by focusing on strength and power, you're creating that lean, chiseled physique, which everybody is after. Cardio is great. Absolutely, it's a necessary component. But we have to do the right amount, not more and more. More is not the right amount. Let's see. I guess I kind of wrapped number 2 into number 3. They kind of coincide. So the calories in, calories out paradigm. Here's a really quick way of looking at it. I'm going to do simple math. It doesn't apply to everybody. But just for the sake of argument, let's say our base metabolic rate, called basal metabolic rate, BMR, let's just say it's 2,000 calories, right? So that is just the energy I need just to sleep and survive. That's just me waking up, walking around, using my brain, all that great stuff. Haven't done any exercise yet, just to function and live. That's at 2,000. If I start calorie restricting and I start overtraining, I can go about 7, maybe 10 days. This is going to be a smaller window for people who already have a lot of muscle or who are well trained. My metabolism will start dropping after that window. So it's going to happen faster the harder you train. After 7 days, that 2,000 a day calorie burn might drop 10%. That doesn't sound like a lot maybe, but now it's down to 1,800. So if my strategy is to be calorie restricting, and let's say I set my window up and I say, okay, I'm going to burn, create 400 calories a day, or people love 500, because if you do 500 calories a day, then 7 days is 3,500 calories. Boom, that's a pound of fat. People love simple math like that. So let's just take that example. So now my metabolism has gone from 2,000 to 1,800. I'm only eating 1,500, so now my window is now much smaller. It's only 300 a day. I'm not going to lose weight as fast as I want to. What am I going to do next? Well, it was working when I was doing this a month ago, so now I'm going to start increasing my workout times. It's going to drop my metabolic rate even lower. I might lose another 10%. These are all estimates. There's, much complex machines that can calculate it if you want to dive into that. But the point is that over time now, in the span of a few months, I have taken my 2,000 a day calorie needs and I've dropped it to 1,600 or, some fraction thereof. So now I'm under eating and I'm not even burning that much anymore. So this is the trap, especially as I lose that lean mass. I can't emphasize that enough. That covered the biggest 6. Now let's talk about number 1. Number 1 is going to be shocking for most people. They probably haven't even thought of it, but honestly, it's your beliefs about yourself. Now, when I got into this and, I had to address chronic depression, anxiety, at one point, a doctor gave me a bipolar label like about 15, 16 years ago. It turned out that wasn't true, but the point is I've had chronic depression in various stages ever since I was 12 or 13. And, I really didn't get a handle on it until my mid to late 30s. The way that we think and the way that we feel about ourselves is really determining the outcome. The simple example of this is that why are people engaged in all these things? Why are people willing to beat themselves down? Why are people trying to restrict calories? They have a belief that they have to force the body to adapt. And that is really coming from a scarcity mindset where you don't believe enough in yourself. You don't see yourself as being strong. You don't see yourself as being powerful. So you're accepting all these bullshit training solutions that aren't feeding your potential. If you believe that you are a very powerful, strong human being, and I come and tell you, hey, we're going to work and we're going to build up a, 2 times body weight deadlift, or maybe 1.5 times, or whatever the case may be. Those numbers don't really mean anything to anybody in the beginning because they're not looking at being stronger. They just want to lose body fat. It's a great goal, but let's get you there in a way that builds you up. Let's increase, your capacities. The point of training is to live a happy life. It's not to have a 6-pack. 6-packs are great. Being lean is great. But when you're walking around lean and exhausted, seldom known thing by people at large is that when people are on bodybuilding stages or they're in magazines, they're maintaining that physique for, a couple hours at best. They've literally peaked themselves over months and months. And in the last month, they're restricting like crazy. They're beating the hell out of themselves. And they are on stage. For weeks, they're ravenous. All they think about is food. There's some famous documentaries floating around there. And the best competitors are talking about all they're focused on is food all day long for weeks leading up to their competitions. It's not a sustainable state to be in. Focus on getting strong for a purpose. Focus on having a strong, supple, athletic, powerful body so you can be an amazing parent, or so you can run a better business, or so you can inspire other people. We all have these, needs and wants in our life. And at the end of the day, if you look at the desire for, being cut and chiseled, it's generally coming down to wanting respect and admiration from people, to wanting to feel loved and liked. Now, it might sound like hippie bullshit. That's fine. You can marinate on that. But I guarantee you 100%, the amount of insecurities in the fitness world are, unparalleled. Any performance-based endeavor, any physique-based endeavor, people are highly, very insecure. They're really struggling with these things. And they're thinking that, by achieving the 6-pack, it's going to bring them these other results. It's going to make them more attractive. Maybe they can date more. Focus on doing those things and having a body that fuels those efforts versus trying to get everything from life just by trying to get super lean. This paradigm is real huge, and it's the reason that you can go into crappy training facilities and crappy programs and be sold on programs that are going to ultimately create this cycle that I've been describing in this video. You're going to keep getting beaten down, and it ends in one of 2 ways. Either you completely burn out and then you stop, and we've all done that, myself included. By the way, every single thing on this list, I've made the same exact mistake by being impatient or being immature or just being uninformed. If you are in this cycle of burning yourself down, you're going to burn out, or the worst case scenario is you're going to end up injuring yourself severely where you're going to need medical treatment. And then you're not going to be doing anything for months or maybe a year or longer. So really focus, again, just to summarize everything, we have to focus. Number 1, we are very powerful and strong beings. We have to focus on that. How do I build that? I'm going to eat for power. I'm going to eat for strength. I'm going to eat for my purpose. I'm going to train for those things. I'm going to train to build up my strength. I'm going to see myself as being powerful and strong. So it aligns with the activities that I'm doing. And now I understand why I'm going to be strength and power based to achieve the physique that I want. And ultimately, the physique is always going to be the byproduct of these bigger purposes and connecting with things that are much more meaningful. So I hope that clears up some confusion. I welcome all feedback. As always, if you don't agree with me, I welcome that too. Let's discuss it and figure out what's going on. Post your questions, comments down below. I will be back with another episode this week. Go make a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.